Hello dear students, I am Shubham Ghosh. Today I am starting with a new series of lectures on GST. This series will be helpful for undergraduate, postgraduate students and also CA, CMA, CS intermediate students. For the final CA, CMA students, 70% of the curriculum will be covered. Rest 30% is a bit analytical things, so those will not be covered here in this series of lecture, but you can obviously go with this because 70% will be covered in detail. Okay, if you know nothing about GST, after watching the entire series you will be very much confident that I know GST. Okay, this is my guarantee. And so let's start. Before starting straight to the point, we should know a bit of history. I don't like history. I want to live in the present, but better understanding of the present situation, we need to know some pre-GST era, like how we were surviving before GST and some how the GST came into our system, this kind of sorts. So before GST there was service tax, VAT, excise, central excise, state excise, this kind of thing, and there was almost more than 50 plus laws. Laws means tax for this taxation purpose, the indirect taxation purpose. So in India we have two types of taxation. One is direct tax, one is indirect tax. Direct tax means I am directly paying the tax to the government based on my income, or based on some certain purchases, or based on some certain activities. Okay, these are regarded as direct tax. What is indirect tax? Indirect tax is something you pay but you are not directly paying to the government. Okay, suppose you are paying me, I will pay it to the government. This is indirect taxation. So for direct tax we have income tax. This is very progressive tax, like I earn more, so I will pay more tax, I will contribute more to our nation building. But for indirect tax is considered as regressive tax. And why it is regressive? Because see, suppose you are earning 10,000 rupees, I am earning 1,000 rupees. But if we purchase a same good, say a biscuit, a pack of biscuit, you are earning 10,000, you can say afford it at 100 rupees a packet. But for me the 100 rupees will be too much because I am earning very less. But for this indirect taxation purpose, we both will be paying same amount of tax on the biscuit. So that's why this is regressive. And why income tax is progressive? Like you are earning more, you are paying more income tax, I am earning less, I am earning less income tax. मतलब औकात में रहना है, ठीक है. So इसलिए GST is called regressive, and the full form of GST is goods and services tax. Okay, it's not goods and service tax. Some people say it's like this, but in examination, if it's a written examination, if you don't put this S, for I don't know, the CA/CMA institute will cut your marks. For the rest of, I don't that much sure. So GST came in force on 1st July 2017. But the first time the need of GST, the feeling that we need GST came in 2004. Okay, then a committee named Kakkar committee first said to the then UPA government about that we need this kind of taxation system, because there is some lacuna in our VAT service tax regime. So then in 2007, in the budget speech, then our finance minister P. Chidambaram, he mentioned that we want to implement GST. Okay, that was back in 2007. 2009, he formed a empowered committee to decide what will be the impact of GST, what will be the provisions of GST, where we can improve this kind of sort of things. But the committee done nothing. After 2014, when the NDA government came, they pushed forward the committee, and in 2017, within 3 years, they implemented GST. So why we need GST? First of all, why we need taxation? See, if we are as a country, we are going, government needs funds. Okay, so government, how the government will get the money? The tax we are paying, the taxes we are paying. Government has its own some business, or like Indian Oil Corporation or NHPC, this sort of government companies, some government undertaking banks like SBI, PNB, etc. These are the government's earning source. So why the government want to change the GST taxation? I mean the indirect taxation to GST, because before that he also getting the tax. The flow was in double taxation. Like before GST, there was service tax, VAT, excise. Okay, service tax was charged on services given. Like I am teaching, if I am giving you service, or some lawyer, CA, doctor, you giving a service, there was service tax on their service. Right now we all pay GST. For purchasing a good, you are paying VAT, state VAT on the amount. On the amount you are paying, you were paying certain amount of tax. But the problem was that when the goods was manufactured in the factory, then the factory owners have already paid excise duty on the, suppose manufacturing cost was 100 rupees, they have already paid 10% of excise duty. It is become, the cost became 110. Then you are charging VAT, while I am purchasing from the shopkeeper, you are charging it on 110%. But the manufacturing cost was 100, that extra 10 was for excise duty. Why should I pay VAT on excise duty? Because it will be I want to pay, I am totally getting that I should pay on the 100 rupees. But why I am paying on the 110 rupees? Why? There is the flaw of double taxation. Tax was charging on another tax. For this, price was being increased. So this is called cascading effect of taxation. So if in the exam this is also a point, if a question comes that what are the benefits of GST, so you have to say that it eradicates the cascading effect of taxation, that is double taxation. Okay, that is tax on tax. Okay, so now let's come straight to the GST laws. There are 4 GST laws. Okay, don't get afraid. all four GST laws are same by word to word, so we need to only read one. Okay, and why this is 4x? Just for the name and some purpose. Okay, that I will explain. We have Central Goods and Services Act, State Goods and Services Act, Union Territory Goods and Services Act, and Integrated Goods and Services Act. So these are the four laws, only the name is different and 2-3 words are different. CGST, that central, you can easily understand this belongs to central government. Okay, the SGST belongs to state government, and the Union Territory UTGST belongs to the Union Territory government, and the IGST I am coming it later. See, I can start with an example that will be helpful. If you have ever purchased something from, say, grocery store. Grocery means you have like the registered ones like Big Bazaar or Reliance Retail, these kind of stuffs, or maybe from Amazon, Flipkart, whatever. They gives you a proper bill, that I want to say. In the bill you will see there is CGST, SGST, or sometimes if you are purchasing in online you may have seen IGST. Okay, so if there is 12% GST on some product, okay, say on a biscuit there is 12% GST. I am purchasing from Big Bazaar. So if the biscuit is of 100 rupees, I will be paying 112 rupees. But in the bifurcation below, there will be two columns, CGST and SGST. The 12 rupees I am paying as tax, 6 rupees is going to the state government where I am purchasing. Okay, if I am purchasing in Delhi, it will go to the Delhi government. I am purchasing at Maharashtra, it will go to the Maharashtra government, and rest 6% will go to the central government. Now what is the IGST? If I am purchasing from Kolkata but the seller is in, say, Maharashtra or say Delhi, so when the seller is in Mumbai, he is selling me goods, I am paying from Kolkata. So what do you think? Which state government? There is central government, Maharashtra government and West Bengal government. There is 3 governments. Who will claim the GST? Who will claim the tax? See, central government will always take 50%. That you rest assured. Okay, so central government will take its 50% हक का माल, जो जिसको कहते हैं, सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट को 50% चाहिए होता है. The main battle is between Maharashtra government and West Bengal government. So see, if a seller is in Maharashtra, if he charges CGST and SGST, that means that SGST will go to that state, Maharashtra government. But I am the purchaser, I am purchasing it sitting in Kolkata. So the West Bengal government says, we are giving you the money, we are purchasing, so we should get the money, we should get the tax also. So for this jhagda, government came with the idea of IGST, and government, mainly the GST Council, says, or GST Council decides by voting that GST will be a destination based tax. No matter where is the seller, the purchaser is important. if the purchaser is from West Bengal, the West Bengal government will get the portion of GST. So in sitting in Mumbai, I have to charge IGST, total 12%. This 12% will go to the central government fund. Central government then will keep its 6%, and rest 6% they will distribute to West Bengal government. Okay, this is the IGST. And SGST and UTGST is same. SGST for the states, UTGST for union territories like Delhi, Jammu and Kashmir, Ladakh. These are union territories, so they will charge CGST and UTGST. In Maharashtra, West Bengal, Tamil Nadu, we will charge CGST, Maharashtra GST, or West Bengal GST, or Tamil Nadu GST, like this. Okay, so now come to the setup point of view. Okay, like I will in detail teach about what is input tax credit for in later classes, but right now you just note down the setup procedure of input tax credit. Okay, the CGST portion will always set off with CGST first. If there is some balance, the balance amount will set off against IGST. If there is some input tax credit in SGST or UTGST, I am just combining it with state and UT, that you don't get confused. Okay, so where it is SGST, it will set off with SGST. Where it is UTGST, it will set off with UTGST only. Okay, if there is balance in SGST or UTGST after setting off, then the balance will set off against IGST. For IGST, it will first set off with IGST. If there is a balance, it will set off first with central GST. After setting off with central GST, if there is a balance, then it will set up with SGST. Okay, so for IGST, first IGST, then CGST, then with SGST. For SGST, first SGST, then with IGST. For UTGST, first UTGST, then with IGST. For CGST, first with CGST, then IGST. Okay, only for IGST they can set up with anything. Okay, dogs are very beautiful. Okay, right now I will be coming straight to the chargeability. The chargeability under section 9 of CGST Act. We will be studying only the CGST Act. Rest of the acts are same, only the name will be different. Everything is written as same, only the name is different. So we will be always write in the exam, if we have to quote a section, we will write that this section is from Central GST Act. So Central GST, in the section 9 of Central GST Act, there is the chargeability. So what is chargeability? Chargeability means where you can charge GST, where GST is applicable. GST is not applicable everywhere. There is some certain goods and some certain services where you can charge GST, and there is also some goods and services where you cannot charge GST. Okay, so first I am going by the definition. In section 9, the definition says central GST is charged on intra-state supply of goods and services. There are some key words you have to know and you have to be very careful about using this word. One, that is supply. Two, that is intrastate. And three, that is goods and services. So if it is not goods, if it is not a service, there will be no GST. If that is not a supply, because in the definition it is said the supply of goods and services. So if it is not a supply, there will be no GST. If it is not a intrastate supply, intrastate means, I am coming it later. So if that is not a intrastate GST, intrastate supply, then there will be no GST, no central GST. Now what is intrastate? Intra means within the state. If we are reading the IGST Act, every word by word is same. The name will be like IGST and there the intra will be interstate. That means between different states, a state to another state. So that is the only difference, everything is same. For state GST, this is also for the state GST and UT GST, this is also same as CGST, that it is charged on interstate. मतलब एक ही स्टेट के अंदर अगर कोई ट्रांजैक्शन हो रहा है, so there we can charge CGST, SGST, UTGST. When there is two state involved, we have to charge IGST. Okay, that is 4 laws. 3 is charged within the state with different conditions, but only IGST is charged when there is 2 states involved. Okay, so this definition was in section 9 subsection 1. Now section 9 subsection 2 excludes, or they have intention to include, right now excluded, some goods like petroleum, alcohol for human consumption, the turbine fuel that is used in aeroplanes. These petroleum products and alcohol products right now are not under GST. That means you cannot charge GST on petroleum, turbine fuel and liquor, that is alcohol for human consumption. Why the government don't want that? Why the government doesn't include it? Because on these products government charge excise duties, then the central government charge excise duties, the state government also charge the VAT. They are getting huge amount of revenue from selling alcohol and selling petroleum, so they don't want to lose a single paisa from these kind of sales. So they for now kept it aside, and they have said that if in some point of time the GST Council recommends that we really need to include the petroleum and the alcohol products in the GST, then they will include in the GST. Right now they are not included. So you are not paying GST on petroleum, you are not paying GST on liquor. Section 9 subsection 3 says about reverse charge. Reverse charge is a topic I will cover in later class. Right now, reverse charge provisions are stopped. In the starting, the government have tried to implement the reverse charge, but due to some issues that I will discuss in the whole class of reverse charge. Okay. And in section 9 subsection 4 there is purchase from unregistered dealer. Now you have to know for what is registered and what is unregistered to know this section. So this section I will explain in the class of registration. Okay, where you have to register, like we all have a PAN card, we have a PAN number, we are registered with the income tax authority. So for charging GST, we also need to have a GSTN number. Without GSTN number, we cannot charge GST. So I will explain it in detail in registration class. Just for now, this comes under the chargeability section, that is section 9. Now I am coming to the definition. Again, as the definition in the chargeability section, there was CGST is charged in the interstate supply of goods and services. So we have already discussed the inter and interstate. Now we have to discuss the word supply. The supply is defined under section 7. I have previously also said if there is no supply, there will be no GST. So today we came to know in section, as per section 9, there is 4 provisions. In section, I am just repeating, section 9(1) is for, they defines the chargeability, that is GST is charged on all interstate or intrastate in some laws goods and supplies. Here we have already discussed the inter and intrastate. In the next class we will discuss the word supply. This will take an entire class. I am just briefing out that supply is defined in section 7 of the act, and we sell something, we give rent, we give lease, and even in for disposal purposes the sale is made or agreed to be made comes under supply. Okay, so what we have learned today, just I am just giving a recall. First we have seen the history of GST, how the GST has evolved, how the GST came. Then we saw the 4 GST laws, then and where it is applicable. Then we learned that GST is a destination based tax, like where the purchaser is, the tax will be go to that state government. Then in section 9 we have seen the chargeability. In section 9(1) we have seen the definition. Section 2 we have seen that petroleum and alcohol products is out of GST, but there is a provision that they can bring into GST after the recommendation of the GST Council. GST Council is also a separate topic. And in section 3 there is reverse charge, that means section 9 subsection 3 there is reverse charge. This will also take another class. And section 9 subsection 4, that is purchase from unregistered dealer. So this subsection 4 will cover after the next class, when I will teach you the supply and registration. Okay, so that's it for today. Hope you have all enjoyed this class, and GST you may find it complicated in starting, but I am guaranteeing you that eventually after 2-3 class, when I will again repeat and recap the provisions and the essence of GST to you, you will find it very easy. So if you want to join me on live, because in recorded session there is a communication barrier, that if you are not understanding a particular word, if you are not understanding a particular topic, you cannot ask me right away. You can always have an option to say it in comment, but in live classes, like if you are in Kolkata, I can teach you offline also. Now this in COVID-19 situation, I will recommend you to avoid traveling unnecessary. You can join me on Google Meet from anywhere, and I will be discussing live with you, and the batch strength is obviously will be very small. I have kept only 5 students a batch, that because I am not just taking a too big batch, because I don't feel comfortable if one single student doesn't understand the concept. If I do class with 100 of students, they can hardly interact with me. Okay, so I can assure you, if you join our live classes, the interaction will be very personalized. Thank you and stay tuned.